out here with, did you hear where I'm at and everything?
I don't know. Should we say it?
I think that'll, well, I don't know. Maybe not. But they've got me a good place to stay that's very private.
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm happy about that.
So,
I was hoping.
yeah, and they're taking.
Well,
so you're doing okay?
I'm trying to keep my spirits up.
A Duggar daughter-in-law is in hiding. Another Duggar daughter is allegedly helping her evade authorities, and a shocking family conspiracy is unfolding behind closed doors. This is not speculation. This is what insiders are telling me right now. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel for new updates about the Duggar family. I wasn't planning on making a video today, but then this situation escalated in a way I couldn't ignore. I had a couple of insiders reach out to me yesterday, this morning, and again this afternoon with new information about what's really going on with Kendra. It all started when that audio clip surfaced of her talking about staying with someone. She stopped short of saying who, and then came the claims about her kids being with her at the time, which turned out not to be true. Then there were all these details that came out last week at a wedding. So, let's get into it. Now, I know this is going to disappoint some of you who are fans of certain people in this family, but here's what happened. Last week, things took a serious turn. Joseph was confronted by someone, and during that confrontation, he confessed. The conversation was recorded, and not long after, Joseph was arrested. That happened on the 18th. Because of what he admitted to, a secondary investigation was automatically opened. That meant authorities had to go to Joseph and Kendra's home and make contact with their kids. They were able to get inside the house, but they couldn't reach the children. And according to sources I spoke with, that's when things started shifting. Apparently, it was decided that Kendra needed to be moved. I honestly don't understand why she couldn't stay in her own home. She's a grown woman, but they moved her to go stay with Joy. You might remember when Jessa said the family was going to rally around Kendra and support her and the kids. Well, it turns out that meant moving Kendra and the kids to Joy's house. Joy put out a brief statement at the time saying the details about her brother were deeply disturbing, that she was praying for the young girl involved, and that she was taking time off social media to be with her family. But what she didn't mention in that statement was that Kendra was living with her. And this is where I get frustrated. Joy is a grown woman. She's close to 30. She has a husband who's 32. She has 3 kids of her own, and she has her own life. There is absolutely no reason she should be following whatever instructions her parents are giving her and taking Kendra in when Kendra could stay at her own house. Why would you expose your own children to this situation when the investigation into Kendra and Joe is still ongoing? I know Kendra and Joy have always been close. They grew up together. They were friends before Joseph even started courting Kendra. Joy has always been very close to Joe as well. But at some point you have to step back and say, I'm not putting myself or my kids in the middle of this. Here's how I was able to piece a lot of this together. The Duggars attended a wedding last weekend. It was someone in their circle of family friends, part of that same group of families they're connected to. And at that wedding, they were talking loosely about what was going on. They told people that Kendra was fine, that she was safe, that she was staying with Joy and Austin, and that everything was great. They also made a point to say that Kendra's kids were not with them, not with the family at all. So let's be clear. If Kendra is staying at Joy's and the kids aren't there, that means Kendra doesn't have contact with her own children right now. And yet, the family was at that wedding acting like everything was under control. This is the part that really gets to me. I always hope that one day a light will turn on for these girls. That they'll realize that what happened to them as kids was terrible, but now they're caught in the same cycle with their parents, still going to the same church, still surrounded by people who aren't good, still tied to a system that keeps them trapped. Joy and Austin have been criticized over the years for things like locking Gideon in his room with a door that locked from the outside, leaving unsecured weapons around the house, not using helmets on ATVs, letting kids walk around construction sites without shoes. Some of those things could easily be considered child endangerment under Arkansas law. So now they're bringing Kendra into their home while she's under investigation, and they're essentially inviting CPS to take a closer look at their own household. Either they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing, or they just aren't thinking about the consequences for their own kids. Here's what I was told about how this family operates. The Duggars are rallying around Joe too, not just Kendra, but Joe. They fully support him. And the only reason they're supporting Kendra is because she's staying with Joe. If she ever separated from him, she would have zero support from the Duggar family.
None.
They would cut her off completely. That's what they do. So the only way Kendra gets help from them is if she stays with Joe. Whether that means living with Joy or having Jim Bob and Michelle step in to take care of her and the kids, it all comes with one condition. She has to stay married to him. When Joseph was arrested, there was panic about the kids being interviewed. CPS automatically opens an investigation in these situations. So authorities went to the home. It wasn't a home study like for foster care. They needed to check if there was anything dangerous for the children, and they needed to talk to Kendra and the kids. But they couldn't get access to the kids. And they also found things in the home that raised concerns. Instead of cooperating, Kendra did the opposite. On Friday, as the investigation continued, there was apparently a plan for Kendra to meet authorities at the big Duggar house. It was prearranged. But she wasn't there. She was at Joy's, hiding with the kids. Now you probably understand why Michelle was so frantic when that paparazzo showed up. That wasn't her house. It was Joy and Austin's house. I looked up the property records. They bought the house in August. It's owned through a trust, but it's theirs. The photos from outside match. And the road it's on is not private. It's a public street with other homes around it. Michelle was running from Joy's driveway onto a public road, yelling about protecting the kids. But at that point, she may have been trying to protect the kids from DCFS. Everything came to a head on Friday. Kendra wasn't cooperating. She wasn't turning herself in, and when authorities went to Joy's house to serve the warrant, she tried to hide. After she was arrested, she was brought back to Joy's house. She spoke to Joseph on the phone and said, "I don't know if they told you where I'm staying." She said, not we. She was with Joy. Last week, local news outlets were outside the Duggar house when DCFS and police showed up with a warrant. They were told Kendra wasn't home because she was at Joy's. Once the media showed up and it became clear the family wasn't cooperating, things shifted. Kendra was finally driven to the detention center. She was booked on child endangerment and false imprisonment charges, and DCFS was finally able to take the kids. The family spent 2 days trying to hide her. It was only when the media presence made it impossible to ignore that they finally cooperated. All of this is to say, the Duggars put Joy in this position. I'm sure Joy loves Kendra, but her father is directing her to do this because that's how everything works in this family. Jim Bob is always sacrificing his daughters to clean up the messes his sons make. And it's not fair to these girls. But at the same time, these women are adults. They have the capacity to say no. They have the capacity to disconnect. The reason they don't is because they would lose access to their dad's resources, the real estate contacts, the business connections. Their husbands are all embedded with Jim Bob in business deals that are often questionable at best. Joy could fully disengage, but her husband won't. Austin is still deep in the fold. He uses Jim Bob's lawyers, his real estate agents, his connections. They go to the same church. Their whole life is built around Jim Bob. This speaks to the mindset of where this family is right now. They aren't in a place where they want justice. They're trying to figure out how to get Joe out of this while ignoring the fact that he confessed. And the daughters who were hurt by Josh are still wrapped up in this cycle, brainwashed into believing that what happened to them wasn't really that big of a deal, that the real problem was that the police records were released. That's what this cult does. It programs you to believe that covering up for people who do things to children is more important than justice for the victims. I know some people will say I'm being judgmental, that I don't have experience with this kind of situation. But I do. My husband has a sibling who is a sex offender. He hurt a child. And we don't speak to him. We don't communicate with him. He is dead to us. We prioritize our family, our son's safety, and our mental health. We stand with the victim, and we would never help that sibling in any way. When someone minimizes the crime or blames the victim, and that happens with offenders like this, you stand up for the victim. You say, I believe you. What you did was wrong. And you cut them off. That's what it means to truly stand with victims. It's hard. It causes division in the family. But it's the right thing to do. So I say this as someone who has walked in Joy's shoes. I know exactly what's happening, and I can say without a doubt, I wouldn't do what she's doing. And we didn't. Joseph has been transferred and is on his way to Bay County. He'll likely have an arraignment scheduled within a couple days of being booked. Since it's a life felony, he'll probably be held without bond. He can request a detention hearing, which has to be scheduled within 5 days of the request. So next week is going to be busy. Kendra is staying back in Arkansas with Joy, who is enabling this whole situation. Joy has brand deals. She wants to be an influencer, but she's placing herself on the side of her brother and his wife. She either doesn't care or doesn't understand what he's done. And that's the culture in this family. They don't take this seriously. To them, it's just a sin, a stumbling block. It's normal. Kendra and Joseph are going to stick together. But if Kendra stays with Joseph, she will never get her children back. The family enabling her to stay with him is only going to make it harder for her to ever have her kids again. The cult mindset and the loyalty to Jim Bob is more important than anything else, more important than justice, more important than the children, more important than doing what's right. It's a sickness in this whole family. Sadly, the girls who were hurt by Josh are still caught in it. Jill is out. Jinger is out to a degree. But Jessa and Joy are still very much in. And it's really sad to see. What are your thoughts on all of this? Let me know in the comments below. If you're not already a subscriber, make sure to subscribe. It's free. And hit the bell so you never miss an update. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.